respect them and that we appreciate that they have served our country in any form or fashion. We recognize each other spiritually. There's no difference in male or female or transgender or color here at the VA. We share the same foxhole, we share the same barracks, we share the same latrine. Veterans seek the VA because we feel comfortable among our own.
Intimate partner violence. At VA here, we aim to help the veterans who struggle with domestic violence and partner-related issues. I'm pretty sure the mental health, the psychology department has groups for LGBT members. At the VA, I know we are starting care for transgender patients. It is part of my goal to always tell them, it's not in your mind, it's real, and you're not alone. Well, I can never say this enough. Thank you for your service. You're not alone. You put your life on the line for your country. Whatever your sexual preference or gender identity, you shouldn't have to risk it at home. So they should always remember that they're not alone in this, and they've gone extra mile and they've risked their life for us and for their country, and they should remember that we are here for them. And if they're struggling with it, we are here at the VA trying to help them and always there for them.
In my patients who are of the LGBT population, I do feel that that is a common, a denominator that I do see, that there is some IPV more maybe common than say in straight female population. I can connect with each one of my patients. I've been in the VA for a long time and I love it. From what I understand now, we have a lot of services available for our LGBT veterans who are in those circumstances. Our social workers are really engaged. I work really closely with them to kind of help facilitate ways for them to get the services they need, close follow-up. It can be really complicated for people that are coming from an IPV situation. Our integrative health clinic, which is pretty amazing. I always give somebody a handout to that and just kind of connect them with those services as well. The peer groups that we have is a way for our LGBT veterans to connect with one another, work through, feelings, experiences, and just know that they're not alone. If fears or concerns are expressed, to validate them, not to dismiss them or discount them or minimize them. I think to give weight to the experiences that these that people are having, I think kind of helps patients realize it's not a weakness. It's stronger for you to ask for help. We care. I care. You are not alone. You put your life on the line for your country, whatever your sexual preference or gender identity.
So IPV is domestic violence. That can mean many things. That can be emotional violence. That can be physical, sexual. It doesn't discriminate based on age, gender, race. So IPV is intimate partner violence. It's kind of the new term that we're using in lieu of domestic violence. And I think, it's important to use this term. I think domestic violence kind of connotates like spousal abuse. And, we want to make it clear that intimate partner violence can happen to anybody. Definitely, we first and foremost want to create a safe space for our veterans to make sure that they know that no matter who they are, where they come from, their sexual preference, that we do not discriminate here, and we want to make sure that they feel comfortable with the care we provide and know that we do have a lot of resources available to them. So the VA not only has a multitude of services for the LGBTQ community, more specifically for transgender patients, we even have a separate endocrine clinic. We're really trying to be current and give the best well-rounded care possible to all of our vets. Aside from the obvious, these are people that took care of us, for in many different circumstances, and it's our turn to give back to them. I think the vets are a unique population. You're going to find here a group of people that really want to be here and really want to serve those who have served our country. So if you're a veteran who is in any sort of not ideal situation, or you are needing services of any kind, Give us a chance. Come see us. We have so many things to offer you, and we have people that really care here. We care. I care. You are not alone. You put your life on the line for your country, whatever your sexual preference or gender identity. You shouldn't have to risk it at home. The VA can help.
Wide variety, especially here at HPAC for our homeless mental health patients. We have psychiatrists, psychologists, social workers, doctors, and nurses, which range from LVNs to RNs. We have social service technicians. We have everyone that you can dream of to help you. If you feel more comfortable speaking with a psychiatrist versus a psychologist, we always have someone available. If you just find a social worker that you click with and want to share with them, you can share with them. If you find me, for example, I'm a clerk out front. If you feel that you can share with me, you can, and I will take it to the right person and relay it. I do it all the time. That's how we're able to engage so many more people. I have a few people that come to mind, which makes me smile, because I remember when I first started how they were just angry. No one wanted to deal with them, and I'll be like, hey, come on up. And yes, we do say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, how may I help you? But once you become more personal, they drop that. Don't call me sir. My name is X, Y, and Z. Call me that. X, Y, and Z. Come on up. How are you doing today? Well, I'm not doing too good. What's going on? Come on, let's go outside and let's talk about it. And my coworkers, they know that I have that relationship, and they're, okay, go ahead, because he's not himself today. Go ahead and speak to that person. She's not herself today. Go ahead and speak to her. They're not themselves. Go speak to them. And I'm able to go and find out what's going on. Can you go tell so-and-so? Because I know they're going to help me, but I know how to tell you, and you know how to find the right words to get it across to them to where they are not misunderstanding what I'm saying. No problem. Well, we don't really have a lot of that here in this clinic, but the ones that we have come across, they are very open. Well, I want to be addressed as this. Yes, ma'am. I want to be addressed as this. Yes, sir. It's not a problem. It's not a laughing matter, because they are who they are and they serve this country, so we have to give them that same respect. I'm passionate about helping the people who want to be helped, and those like seeing people outside is just heartbreaking, because I know where I am and I know where I can be, and I know I wouldn't want to be in that situation, so I know that person doesn't want to be in that situation. It's just something that's holding them back from telling someone, hey, help me. And if we can find out what it is that's holding them back, we can engage so many more people. This VA hospital is here for you, especially for you, because you served us, so now it's time for us to serve you. We all have pain, some more than others. Some people just step in other people's shoes and are able to accept them better, but you can make it through, and there's plenty of us here willing to help you. I love what I do. Just come in and find your person. I say your person meaning someone you click with, no matter what they are. They could be a housekeeper, because we all know who we should refer someone to or where we should refer them to. So just come in, and you could be sitting on the bench outside and you'll be conversing with another veteran, and they'll say, hey, I know someone, they're great, and they'll refer you, and on your way to that person you may find your person. Our peer support specialists are excellent, because the job title is peer, so that means that they're a veteran as well, and if they feel that no one else can relate, that peer support person can, because they've been through exactly what that person's been through. If we didn't care, we wouldn't work here at all. It's so much. It's so many more opportunities out there, but we choose to continue to come here, to continue to serve the people who served us. The VA can help. We care. I care. You are not alone. You put your life on the line for our country. Whatever your sexual preference, our gender identity, you shouldn't have to risk it at home.
One of the reasons why we use the term intimate partner violence instead of domestic violence is I feel like intimate partner violence really is much more inclusive of what our patients actually experience. You know, during my time as a doctor, I've cared for patients who have experienced partner violence with their female partner, their male partner, their husband, their wife. It doesn't really exclude or define specific living relationships or certain genders as, say, perpetrator or victim. If you're kind of using those terms, I think intimate partner violence really encapsulates that everybody can experience trauma. and acknowledges that. I think every experience, every person's story is very specific to them and very unique. I think, as a primary care physician, I'm often on the front lines and seeing people in all different circumstances. Part of me doing my job well is asking people about their social support and their living environment so that I can really individualize my recommendations for them. As we get to know our patients, I've been really different patients, have disclosed that they've suffered trauma and the different relationships that they've had. I think about one patient that I started caring for who's really, she has come quite far along her journey. But she was incredibly open to me about how, when she was actually in the military, her wife was, really quite physically abusive to her. And my patient now is a transgender female. At the time, she was living as a male when she was married, and that was actually a very difficult experience, kind of her journey through that entire process and healing as she's come out of it. We are screening for intimate partner violence. We have amazing social workers that are knowledgeable about our VA resources as well as our community resources. So we can offer a lot of support for people regardless of where they're at and what kind of resources they're ready to kind of access within the VA system and also within the community. In my experience, often when people have gone through trauma, there's a lot of healing that needs to happen, and it can be helpful to have a well-trained psychologist who knows about trauma, as well as other mental health prescribers, be they mental health nurse practitioners or psychiatrists, to also help in that journey of healing. I would just want to say, please come and let the VA know how we can help you. Saying what you need can really help us meet your needs. If you are a veteran and able to access VA healthcare services, we have women-specific clinics, we have homeless-specific primary care clinics, we have other primary care clinics that are all over the place. All you have to do is come in, prove that you're a veteran, and you can get an appointment, very, very soon to get your needs taken care of. We have outreach workers that go out on the street. We have peer support specialists. So these are veterans that have done special training to really help support their veterans through the process of whatever they need. Within our own institution, we are building up kind of a transgender clinic, looking at ways within the chart to really use appropriate pronouns and kind of, do a lot of staff training around, talking with people in the way that makes them feel comfortable all around. We care. I care. You are not alone. You put your life on the line for your country, whatever your sexual preference or gender identity. You should not have to risk it at home. The VA can help.
IPV is interpersonal violence, a new term kind of that's been did for domestic violence. I've worked with several female veterans who have experienced IPV come to the VA looking for that assistance, and we provide them with the resources they need. And I think it's more inclusive. I think when you hear domestic, intimate partner violence, I think it's more inclusive. I think when you hear that term, it's not so people just think of a woman receiving that violence. I think it affects men and women all the same, and I think we need to kind of let the terminology reflect that. Know that this is a safe place for them to come and receive services. I love working with the veterans, helping them, seeing them come home, overcoming barriers, and seeing them go on to be great and kind of have a great life and be with family, and just to be able to give them back when they gave us so much. At the VA, we kind of recognize that, times have changed and that it is 2018 and we're dealing with a different population that has different values, different beliefs, and that it is multifaceted, and we embrace all of that here at the VA. We care. I care. You are not alone. You put your life on the line for your country. Whatever your sexual preference or gender identity, you shouldn't have to risk it at home. The VA can help. I think a lot of times a lot of stigma associated with military, the experiences they had, that people don't care. Especially our female veterans. So when they come to this space, I want them to feel open, I want them to feel safe, I want them to have no filter when they talk to me and kind of let me know what's going on and how I can help. And to be so strong and to view themselves as so weak, it's like, no, you did more than anyone else in this world, and most people would never do in their lives. You gave so much, your family, your life, your friends, and you come back and say, you don't expect to be helped by the same people you put your life on the line for. If you're a veteran, if you need any kind of help, call your local VA. We're here to help. We care.
As an LGBTQ person, that it's very important as a veteran, regardless of your sexual orientation or your identity, whatever you identify as, that you come in to the VA and get help. When you find somebody who you actually really feel comfortable with, it's really important that you continue going to appointments and coming in and seeking that help, because they really do care and they really do help. They really are there for you. Immediately, she was just really warm and welcoming, and that's and I could tell immediately that she cared, just by her demeanor and the way that she talked to me, that she saw me as a human. It wasn't like I was broken. It wasn't, and I think that a lot of people just treat you as just any patient, and instead she wanted to actually get to know me, and she was looking at me, and when I ended up saying, because something came up, like a question came up or something, and I ended up saying, well, so just so you know, I'm a lesbian. And she just immediately, without even hesitation, she goes, okay, cool. And I was like, oh, I thought that was gonna be a thing. Like, I thought that'd be an issue. So the fact that she was just so immediately, that there was nothing negative about that, there was no negative reaction, it was just immediately just going like, and? Like, it was like, oh my gosh, that's refreshing. Because that doesn't often happen, at least in my experience. And I served during Don't Ask, Don't Tell. So that was a different time, and I served during a time where you couldn't say who you were. So it's hard for me, honestly, even now, to tell people, providers, or anybody having to do with the veteran community, anything military, it's hard for me to still come out and say something. And I ended up telling her, some issues that I was having with that, and she was able to help me and make me feel like I was just like any other, I was as important as any other veteran. And it was just, she just wasn't treating me any differently. I was holding in, and that I, needed to talk to somebody, until it really hit me when I started talking to other vets, and we were just sharing stories, and I realized that one of them started crying. And I was like, I'm so sorry. The story that I was telling I thought was funny, and I realized it wasn't. It was just how I remembered it. And it brought up so much stuff, and I just realized I'm not doing okay, and I haven't been doing okay. And I realized too, just my relationships, through all of this stuff, I was struggling with a lot of things. And so I just realized that if I don't get help, then I'm gonna take my life. When I came in, that staff at the VA, when I said I'm not doing okay, they just swooped in, and it felt like people that, almost like, as weird as this sounds, it felt like I just had the right people that just made me feel like they were almost like family. They recognized me and they said, we care so much, and they called me. I had people, like I had one of the people at the front desk call me and just check on me. Just checking on you, Miss Robinson, just wanted to make sure you're okay. I mean, when does that happen? But you just need to keep going, and you need to be an advocate for yourself and really seek the help that you need.
In my exam room where patients can feel relaxed and cared for and heard and validated, and I'm just, that's kind of my thing, and I really was glad to hear your story. And I do remember when you said, you're like, and I'm a lesbian, I'm like, and how can I help you today? Like, it's not even an issue, right?
It was like no issue. I was
Yeah,
waiting for some kind of like, reaction or anything, but I was like, oh,
like,
I was supposed to have a point to that. Okay,
right,
yeah.
So it was like, and then, I've seen you like several times, like, like maybe at least 5-6 times, like since that first time, and I don't know, it's just easy.
Yeah.
You're the best.
No, you're the best.
Thanks.
So I'm trying to get it across here. I think one of the important things is understanding that if ever you do receive a roadblock, at the VA, to keep going.
Yep.
It's just like the chain of command, and remembering that sometimes you hit that wall on that first person, but you go above them, and then you just go around and you go, okay, well, I've at least done my part because I went through the chain. So I went to the next person, and if they don't help, you go to the next person until somebody absolutely does help you, because they will. And you will find that person who truly cares, and it's just understanding that, you know, sometimes no matter where you are in life, there's going to be, where you are, you're going to find a roadblock or a person who's having a bad day that doesn't want to, you know, unfortunately that happens anywhere. But it's understanding resiliency and not giving up and keep going, because you will find so many people here at the VA that do help. And honestly, then you find a great one that you link up with. Yeah. And the VA just has so much to offer. And, you know, you go in and you say, I have XYZ, you know, I need help with this. And you find the people who will point you in the right direction. And that main person is, to me, always your primary care doctor.
If a patient wants to be seen by a different, or wants to see a different provider, maybe doesn't connect with their provider, and it could be any provider. It could be primary care, it could be mental health, it could be, you know, anyone that they're seeing. And if they would like to switch to somebody different, which is totally okay, then they just can ask for a form to fill out to switch to a different provider, and then the person at the front desk will switch them to a different person and schedule them with that new provider. So.
Or you just simply ask to see a new provider, and they go, okay, and they just do that.
Yeah.
I've never filled out anything. I don't know if that's a new thing, but they're really great. I've had to do that several times just for different reasons. It's important to understand being an advocate for yourself and how important that is, and just knowing that you can be an advocate for yourself. You should be an advocate for yourself, because nobody else is going to be fighting your battles. You got to fight your own, you know, and they're there to also have your back, and they will have your back, providing LGBTQ specific needs, and so it's really night and day, even from just 5 years ago, honestly. And so to me, if you've ever had a roadblock at any point, or you feel like, you know, you've asked before, just ask again, because they have way more programs now, and you know, there's a lot more help. And I do feel like the VA, to me, is very welcoming, and I'm finding more and more providers are having more of those types of reactions of, okay, you know, when I mention that I'm a lesbian, you know, and you know, I get asked, you know, just asking, you know, what's your sexual preference, whatever, and men, women, both, kind of thing. It just blows my mind, because that was never a thing, you know, years ago. But I think that's the most amazing thing. I feel like the VA is actually a lot more progressive than it used to be, and it's a lot more welcoming.
We have a transgender program that's building, and it's got a lot of momentum, and we provide hormone replacement therapy, and it's an excellent program. So we definitely offer those services.
It's just understanding that there are so many people at the VA that do care, and come in and get help, because then you will find the right one you connect with. We care.
I care.
You are not alone.
You put your life on the line for your country.
Whatever your sexual preference
or gender identity.
You shouldn't have to risk it at home.
The VA can help.
I've certainly seen a number of veterans who present with a history of IPV that might be remote or is far more recent. And so, you know, we've had situations where we've had veterans present, and often they're coming into clinic because they need something acutely. So we will manage whatever their acute presentation is and sort of try to promote safety and support within the environment that we practice. And usually what will happen is, because it's a more acute issue, we often will try to stabilize things acutely. And then, you know, making sure that we sort of transition someone to a safe, stable housing environment as we address some of the other repercussions that come with exposure to IPV. So I mentioned I work with homeless veterans and provide primary care in this clinic setting. And unfortunately, a lot of our veterans do experience intimate partner violence. It's unfortunate that that's something that they you know, being homeless, I think it puts you at risk for a number of things. And a lot of veterans that we see do come in, especially our female veterans, they do come in with that history. And so we have to make sure that we as providers optimize our care and our sensitivity around the issue and sort of help to navigate some of the changes that might happen. or some of the stressors that they present with when our veterans do come in. We generally, when we see a veteran, we try to welcome them no matter what the background is. We try to sort of come with a sensitive approach. We try to sort of make sure we are supportive and we provide an environment that's welcoming for all veterans. I mean, I think there are programs that we provide that are relatively new, and I think there's discussion around LGBT veterans and that they're welcome in the VA and they're welcome as veterans, and we appreciate their service. And I think that discussion has sort of sparked some of the other services that are offered. So we have transgender care. Our clinic it's a homeless clinic, but we have veterans who also are going through some transitions and so we work really closely with the transition clinic. And so that transgender care is therefore then started to make it's made a little more continuous, and it's an improved care. So, veterans talk to each other. And so we've had one veteran say, I talked to this other veteran who happened to be our patient as well. And, she mentioned X, Y, and Z that made it much more effective for her well-being and for her care. And so is it possible for me to get those same services? So I have seen some piggybacking in terms of veterans saying, we've heard that you offer these services, we'd like to know how we can get them. And that's sort of being able to have that open communication, not just politically or globally, but also on that day-to-day level where it's actually about concrete care. What I love about the VA is that it's all centralized. You work very closely with other partners within the healthcare environment. So if you send someone to a subspecialist, they will know what's going on. If you send someone to your team social worker, you work closely with that person on a daily basis. You see their notes, you work with them, you talk to them about how the veteran is doing, and there's nothing better than serving our veterans. So that's why I came to the VA. We want the VA to be a place where we welcome you, we care about you, we care about everything that you care about, so we want to be there to support you. Not just around medical care, not just around mental health, not just around housing, but we also want to see you feel like you have a safe place to be, that you have the benefits you deserve, and that you have the services that you need. We care. I care. You are not alone. You put your life on the line for your country. Whatever your sexual preference or gender identity, you shouldn't have to risk it at home. The VA can help.